Welcome to drillingcontractor.org. I'm Alex Endres, and joining me today is Linda Head, the Associate Vice Chancellor for Lone Star College, as well as Brenda Kelly, Vice President for Accreditation and Credentialing here at IADC. Brenda and Linda, thank you both for joining us today. And Linda, first of all, congratulations on achieving the first accreditation for IADC's Gateway program.
Thank you very much. We're very excited about it.
Brenda, can you start off by telling us about the IADC Gateway program and what it does?
I'll be glad to tell you about it. We're excited about the program. It's actually one that began with at Linda's direction, coming to IADC and saying that she thinks, based on the responses she's getting from her industry advisory board, there's opportunity for IADC and industry to work with community colleges to prepare the next level of our workforce. So it began thanks to Linda. So we really appreciate her effort in that. The Gateway program is an outflowing of the Workforce Development Committee and the work they were doing around workforce attraction and development. The committee was recognizing the need for our industry to gear up to supply new personnel. It was based on, in large part at that time, that anticipation of the baby boomers leaving the industry. We now realize that we're actually gearing up for far more than just the exit of the baby boomers. We were going to enter a downturn in the industry and have a far broader need for new personnel, well-equipped personnel to enter our industry. Through the work of this WADI project, an outflowing was the Gateway Accreditation Program. That program will be one that embraces multiple training courses, the first of which has been developed by industry and colleges together, the Introduction to Oil and Gas. That course is for the new entry person coming to our industry. It has some amazing features in that it asks the colleges to provide interviewing of candidates to make sure they really understand the industry and are prepared to enter this industry, that they can enjoy and embrace the lifestyle of the industry. It asks the colleges to provide screening of the candidates, first of all, to ensure that they have the right aptitudes needed for our industry, but also that they meet the physical requirements needed. Through the Gateway program, the colleges will perform screening of the candidates to make sure that they are hireable individuals. It provides criminal background checks, drug screening, aptitude screening. The work keys are applied to identify whether the candidate might have some gaps in their knowledge currently that need to be remediated before entering the Gateway program, and particularly this Introduction to Oil and Gas course. Once the candidate has gone through all of the interview and pre-screening accepted by the college, they then enter the training program. The training program provides for them that introduction to oil and gas. It provides them the basic safety training that they need. And in fact, they will receive their REPASS certification as part of the training. It will give them their first introduction to well control through the Well Sharp Awareness course. It will also give them the introduction to rigging, so that they will be trained to be a rigger, among other things that they would be able to do in their new employment. But an additional unique feature to the Gateway's Introduction to Oil and Gas is that it really prepares the candidate to succeed in our industry. It addresses the personal lifestyle, the personal life, how will the family adopt or manage while the employee may be away for 14 days, 24 days, etc. So it's preparing the individual personally to succeed in their life as well as in their career. Gateway will ultimately be a broader program based on industry's next identified critical area for training. What industry currently has told us is that the derrickman position would be the next position that they would want to pursue. That may have changed now based on this current downturn, but the next level of training would be based on industry's most critical need for employees.
And Linda, can you tell us about what drove development for the program at Lone Star, as well as some lessons you learned along the way?
The initial need was expressed to us by our own industry partners, which we found out are members of the IADC. So the employers were telling us they needed succession planning and a way to get this entry-level group in, because in busy times their workers are moving up quickly from the floor hand roustabout to the derrick hand to the AD driller, and they were moving faster than ever before because of the need. We also were in a position as a community college in Houston that the headquarters of a lot of these companies are here. So our chancellor has an advisory council that's met for 5 years every quarter, energy and manufacturing related primarily to oil and gas. And they've been saying you have to build your capacity to provide a workforce pool for us from which to choose. At the same time, we needed to have validated curriculum and a vetting process, a pre-screening process. We were going out for a public bond referendum to build new facilities. So we were building a 72,000 square foot building with 18 technical labs to teach all the technical pieces of this. But it was perfect to get the curriculum development to come from the IADC members. And so the timing was just all aligned really well. And we went out for a bond in 2014 also, where we focused on this industry, upstream and downstream, and then also the trucking and IT and global logistics that needed to go with it. I personally spent lots of time with your member companies on this particular program. We all have history in oil and gas. If you've lived in Houston for a long time, you can't help it. So although we work for a community college, all of us that worked on this project at Lone Star had some work experience in oil and gas in this century someplace, some of us more recent than others. The development was amazing. The commitment by the members of IADC to spend hours of time being interviewed to design the 360 technical and behavioral competencies in this program. They showed up every week on phone or in person, spent time in between editing, modifying in the 9 or so different areas that were part of this bigger project. The team that I was involved in was very committed throughout the time. We personally even went to worry about recruiting veterans. We are very supportive of veterans, and the behavioral skills were easier to teach to a veteran because they already come to us with some of those. So our first grant-funded class included some funding from the state of Texas that brought in a veteran team of students.
What are some of the basics of your IADC accredited program?
As Dr. Kelly is mentioning, it starts with the pre-screening. What we've seen in healthcare programs that makes a curriculum successful and the students successful is wherever there's an accreditation, if it involves some sort of pre-screening, you're going to start with a base of students that are going to be employable when they finish. The math, the reading, writing, the drug and alcohol, of course, and now we've added some physical attributes and even can you learn this stuff? Are you interested in these kinds of things? I probably couldn't learn electrical myself, but I don't know, I haven't taken that work keys test. Then they have an overview of intro to oil and gas. Those of us that were in oil and gas in the 80s, whatever your job was, if you were in HR, accounting, or an engineer, you had to take an intro to oil and gas course. And we felt the same way from looking at the competency list that would be best packaged into an overview, 2-day overview of oil and gas, all of it, and how your job fits into the big picture. Part of that then is a demonstration. So our students go to a rig and they go see what it looks like. Because in a classroom, in our technical labs, we have all the components, but you can't see the size and scale of the equipment they're working on, nor how small a deck could be that you might be on for 14 days, 24 days, 6 months, and see how small it might be, land. And then we're also purchasing visual simulation software so that they can also see offshore, because we can't physically show them a large deep sea drilling ship. Then they go into the basics of electrical, mechanical, hydraulics, PLCs. that sort of thing. And they spend a lot of time doing that. It's hands-on. From there, they learn drilling specifically and the mechanics and electrical of that. We now have a relationship with a company here in Houston, so they will actually be not, once they leave the technical lab, they'll be going on a training drilling rig and doing that physically starting in 2 weeks. So we've added that component. Then, of course, the rig pass and the well control. So at the end, they're very well rounded. The crane and rigging piece was just finished by IADC as a separate accreditation, but we've brought components of that into this as well. So we have a pretty robust 8-week, 40-hour-a-week program.
And Brenda, recently at the IADC Drilling Onshore Conference, you spoke about how quickly the industry can reactivate and restaff rigs once an eventual upturn does begin. What role does the IADC Gateway program play in that process?
At the moment, the Gateway program is well suited, or the participants in the program are well suited to be quickly responding and providing those entry-level personnel. The Gateway program currently is focusing on the entry personnel. We had in the development process, or more than 50 colleges participating in the development process, so we know they're there and interested, not all are currently accredited. We encourage our members to consider this a very valuable resource for employing the new personnel. With this downturn, loss of employees, we know many people previously in the industry will not return to the industry, whether it's because of retirement or they've sought other employment. So there will be particularly a critical need of new entry personnel, and the industry will be wanting to move quickly. Gateway will help them move quickly. I encourage our members, our viewers today, to reach out to their local college, community college, work with them, try to encourage them to be a partner in this process, encourage them to join Gateway so that they can be that readily available, very reliable, very quality partner and provider of new employees when they return to work.
Well, Brenda and Linda, thank you both for joining us today.
Oh, my pleasure.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
And thank you, viewers, for joining us today at drillingcontractor.org.